here I am with JS Javier. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
So today we have him talking about Celsius because he's the Celsius ambassador.
Thanks for having me on. I try to enlighten people about Celsius as much as I can. I just want people to know the option out there, whether they choose to get it, add it to their portfolio, or try it out is up to them. I just want people to kind of at least know what's out there and make sure they at least give it a look and see how it can possibly help them as part of their crypto journey, right? Not only one part of it, but just not to be a whole part, the whole thing, but at least a part of it. Like Brian said, I am a community ambassador for Celsius. Kind of what that means is just in a simple form, I guess like a super fan, you could kind of say it. So I'm not an employee, but I kind of work on the side of in a way of like being an employee but not an employee, right? I'm not paid or anything by them, or anything that I say are my own views, and everything I do is based on the community side of it only. So just because I believe in Celsius in general, I believe what they stand for, and all the things that they're doing for the digital asset community as a whole. So
like, let me ask as a quick question, like let's say I don't know anything about crypto. I'm just a regular dude from the street, and then what can you say to really convince me to be excited to be on board with Celsius?
Perfect. Yeah. So that's definitely the kind of core audience or group that Celsius kind of wants to go after, right? What we call the no coiners, right? People that are either don't know what crypto is, don't know anything about digital assets, or very, very, very early in their crypto journey, right? So Celsius kind of wants to be there and to kind of help ease you into it and say, look, this crypto game is wild, right? I mean, there's meme coins, there's shit coins, there's big risks, all these things that it moves, 100 miles an hour, right? Before you know it, you're down 50%, from one night to the next, right? So, Celsius comes in and says, look, we're trying to, our whole mission is hodling, right? Celsius is big on preaching about hodling. And so for those that are new, hodl is what, a term used in the crypto space for hold on for dear life, basically just holding on, right? Like the idea of holding long-term, right? And so Celsius kind of tells, these no coiners or early crypto people, look, we want to keep it simple for you, right? There's so much going on with DeFi and this and that. I mean, your head could spin with everything that's going on. So let us kind of do the legwork for you. You go and pick the assets that you either believe in or that you're trying. And, for the most part, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top ones in the top, let's say top 50, right, are most common that every new person will see, right? And for the most part, a lot of those are supported on Celsius. So Celsius is like, look, we're not here to pick winners or losers. You go and invest in what you think is, bring them over to our platform, and what we'll do is we'll pay you interest for holding it on our platform, right? For letting us secure that crypto for you, and you store it with us. We lend it out, and then we pay you every week, compounding interest on that particular asset, right? And so we want you to hold long term because we believe in the crypto space. You're trying to get in the crypto space to, hopefully if you believe in the digital future and what these could be. So if you're investing long term, why not get paid for on top of an appreciating asset and earn interest on it, right? So that's kind of the core, the simple core attack that, Celsius is trying to get out to a lot of the early the people that are just jumping in or the no coiners in general. Currently, so.
Okay, yeah, cool. So like, what about the competitors? I know there's BlockFi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what makes you decide to choose this versus the other competitors?
Yeah, good question. So I have used all the competitors. So I feel, at least when I share the information people, I let them know that I've been with all the competitors, and I still have my money in some of the competitors as well. And I do it for number one, because that's where I came from first. So I started with crypto.com, then to Nexo, BlockFi, and then to Celsius. And I've experienced the websites, the apps, the rates, all these different things, and learned about the companies and learned about their leadership and learned about their missions and all these things. And so I feel like I come with a good sense of experience and knowledge, so that I can tell people that without a doubt I would recommend Celsius 100 times out of 100. And then I can provide generally a bunch of reasons. Now, what I do tell people though is go try out those others, right? I'm not here to say, hey, Celsius, no way, or it's the highway. Not at all. If you're hesitant or you're not sure, or you feel like, hey, I kind of like the way that, go for it. I mean, I think it's better that you do actually try it out. That way you can compare better. You're not just going off me. But at least if you want some additional info, at least I can give you the info knowing that, hey, he's at least tried them all. He at least has his money in it. So he can kind of give me firsthand experience at least. Why one would be better than the other. So if I could think of it like a quick way, why overall. So the reason why most people go to crypto.com, Nexo, or BlockFi mostly first is because they chose to go the route of advertising. They chose to pay the YouTube influencers. They chose to advertise on the crypto websites. They chose to kind of take all their money, all their marketing money, and go that route. Celsius was actually the one that started how to earn yield on your crypto. They started this 4 years ago, but they went the route of word of mouth. And so they said, look, we don't know where this digital asset space is going. We don't know where crypto is going in the next few years, with regulations, with all this, everything that's going to go on. So what we're going to do is we're going to play it safe. We're going to be the tortoise, and we're going to let everybody else be the rabbit, and we're going to be the tortoise, right? We're going to just take it slow. We're going to file the paperwork. We're going to get registered with the SEC, get registered with the FCA, take care of all that first, and let the others go do whatever they're going to do. But we're going to stay consistent in what we do. And so when you look at their history, they technically have held the best rates over a long period of time. Now, other ones have started out with better rates or offered higher rates and all those things. But when you break it down into long term, Celsius has always stayed within a range of their rates that they offer on paying you on interest, when all the others have had to offer you a big rate and then have to pull back down on you and say, oh, well, now we can't afford that anymore because we're out of marketing dollars, or we've already spent our money, so now we got to kind of pull it back a different way, right? And so that's to me personally, that's a great sign of a company on what they believe long term, on their them progressing with their roadmap. So those are the initial reasons that I would say why you would want to choose Celsius over it. Then the next thing I would like to people is look at their CEO, right? The guy that runs Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, the CEO, he comes with a track record. So he's the guy that created VoIP, which is Voice over Internet Protocol, which is what Brian and I are using right now to talk, which is what we use every day when you're on Zoom, right? It's standard now, but he's the guy, one of the guys that helped patent it years ago, right? He fought the phone companies about bringing wireless in the subways. So, and now he wants to fight the banks, right? Now he's just like, look, the banks are not out for us, not out for you. So it's time for something new. And crypto is all about the people, and we want Celsius to be a big part of that, and also tell you that we're in this together, and we want it to be about you guys, not about me, not about us. So his money sits in the same wallets next to you. The rates that he gets on the crypto that Celsius offers are the same rates whether you have $10 in an account or you have $300 million in the account. So those type of things matter to me, and it definitely it's definitely most of the reasons what put Celsius over the edge, and a lot of other reasons. But I just wanted to highlight a few, without talking here, because I can go for hours and hours. So.
Oh no, that's good. That's good. So. What about if people want to purchase? Should they purchase the token? Should they download an app? What's some step-by-step process for people that are just new into this project?
Yeah, so basically right now they do have the website you can log into, and the mobile app, which is the mobile app is currently the only way you can sign up right now. Excuse me. And the web sign up is going to be coming pretty soon, but you can log in through the website as well once you're a customer. But currently the sign up is through the web app, so you would need the Celsius app. At the bottom, at the description of the video, Brian will provide my referral link for you to try it. You're more than welcome to use my referral link and get $50 in Bitcoin if you transfer in $400 or more of any supported crypto and hold it for 30 days. You'll then get $50 in Bitcoin. But you don't have to even use my referral link. You can just sign up on your own and go from there. And there's some other promo codes, but obviously if you use a referral code, you'll get $50 in free Bitcoin. Why not, right? Who doesn't want free money? So, but yeah, you download the app, sign up. You're going to need your ID at minimum, and then depending on the country you're in and all those things. Here in the States, I'm in the States, so you're going to need your ID and your social and your address and all that. So, as far as I know, from other people that I know that have signed up in other countries, it's pretty much standard. Some form of ID, a driver's license, a passport, a national ID card. And then I know here in the States we use social security numbers, and in other countries there's some type of identification number, so you would need something like that. But the app will walk you right through it. I would say sign up takes probably 5 minutes, and then when you have to verify your ID, in most cases it's within an hour. In some cases I've seen it take up to 24 hours. It just depends. But yeah, somewhere within a day you should be verified, and then you can start submitting in your transfers. So if after you hear this video, if you're interested definitely in Celsius, like I said, use the link, reach out to me. Brian will also provide my contact information for Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel coming out, which is going to be basically Celsius centric. So I'll have a couple Twitter accounts that you can reach out to me, and my DMs are open. And I'll be more than happy to walk through how to sign up, what videos to look at, answer questions, anything like that. So.
Okay, so let's say, for example, all right, I have whatever, 5,000, 10,000. How should I allocate that? I personally know that, of course, there's different cryptocurrencies that you can invest. What should I invest? How much should I invest in Celsius? Or what should I do with my money with the Celsius platform?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and real quick, I'll come back to that as well. I did. Now that you said that, I realized I missed one of your questions on the previous one, which was the Cell token. So, like Brian said, Celsius has their own token, their own utility token, and they also pay interest on that as well, which is right now currently 4.86% APY on the Cell token. And if you look at the history of the token, it's performed very, very well. I want to say 18 months ago it was 10 cents. Now it's hovering around $6, and its all-time high was I think 802. And actually it reached, and to show you the strength of Celsius in general and the Cell token, it actually reached its all-time high during the Bitcoin and Ethereum dump. So anybody that's been in crypto at least this year, the biggest drop that came recently, before everything really crashed, and Bitcoin and Ethereum were making the first movers in that drop. Cell token actually reached its all-time high during that little span. So that's and then once things started dropping, all the alts started dropping, the Cell token maxed out at 37% of a drop. So if you compare that to all the other alts, it was one of the strongest performing alts to not take the biggest hit. I think it was them, Hex, and one other one that were all within a 35% drop, 36%, something like that drop, while most other alts dropped 70, 80%. So that should give confidence in investing in the Cell token just from a performance standpoint. And then how you get the Cell token is a little challenging for the United States currently, due to Celsius choosing to be overly cautious and safe. And because here in the United States we have a governing body that deals with securities and assets and things like that called the SEC, and they haven't determined what are securities and what aren't when it comes to the digital asset space. So for that reason, Celsius has said, look, we're going to play the safe route, and we don't know if they're going to determine Cell token as a security. So for now, we're just going to treat it as one. So we're not going to be able to offer it directly for U.S. customers, like on exchanges and things like that. So for us in the States, we still can get it, and once you have it and put it into Celsius, you can still earn interest on it. You just can't purchase it anywhere directly within the United States. So you have to use a decentralized exchange, which is the most common one is Uniswap, to get the cell token. But once you have it and you own it and you possess it, then you can transfer it into your Celsius account at any time, and they can pay you interest on it. They just can't allow it for the states to access it. Anybody else outside of the states, internationally, should have no issues getting it on most exchanges. I know it's on Bitfinex, it's on Binance Global. It's on Bittrex Global, Liquid, FTX, and a couple other kind of medium exchanges, and of course the DEXs, the decentralized exchanges, Uniswap as well. So I wanted to make sure I covered that. Now that I forgot that part of your question. So, and then your follow-up was about the investments, right? What to invest in. So this is not financial advice, so I can't say what to do with your money, nor tell you. I can just present things that show strength, and it's all going to matter in your type of investment strategy. So here's a good example, kind of me and Brian here. Brian is a lot riskier and willing to take a little more chances on some investments, and I'm a little more on the conservative side. So it really going to depend on your investment strategy. But if you had, let's say Brian's example, $5,000, I would say you'd want to at least consider. I don't say again, I can't tell you what to do, but you'd want to consider maybe a quarter of that up to half of that in something strong. So whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or anything, like that. I think everybody personally, and this is just my financial opinion only, everybody should hold some Bitcoin and Ethereum at minimum. I don't, whether it's 10% or half 50%, it doesn't matter. You should hold a portion of your portfolio, just because, in my opinion, I think that they are like the king and queen of the space. So of anything, those two aren't going anywhere, right? So even if everything were to collapse, those two aren't going anywhere. So I definitely think you should have some of that, and of course then hold it on Celsius and earn your interest. So real quick to cover on Bitcoin, Celsius pays you 6.2% APY on your first Bitcoin, and then 3.51% on your any Bitcoin after your first one. So on your first Bitcoin, you get 6.2%, and then it goes to 3.51, but it's a blended rate. So your whole first Bitcoin is earning that 6%, and then after that first Bitcoin, you're earning the 3.51%. For Ethereum, you're earning 5.35% on your first 100 ETH, and then I think 5.05% on your next your ETH after the 100. So let's say you do half in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then the other half you would then want to then basically do your own research and figure out what projects excite you. What do you think the future is going to hold? Brian knows that one of my favorite projects is Chainlink. I'm going to try to keep not saying too much about it, because we have a fun little banter of how much he dislikes it versus how much I like it. So I won't say too much, but you would then start going into projects that you feel that have a potential to what are they trying to do in the future, and then you start weighing your risk versus reward toward that, using research like Twitter, like YouTube, Telegram, getting on crypto groups, just kind of coming up with your own kind of game plan of what you think could and could not work. And at the end of the day, you should really try to hold, right? No matter what, like even, it's going to be a roller coaster, and Brian can tell you for sure, because he's been in the game longer and he's seen plenty of ups and downs. But me, even just being in, 2 years now, I've seen it as well. And I look back, and had I just held everything I ever bought, I'd be in a lot better spot than I am, and I'm in a great spot now from just the 2 years. But just simply holding, for the most part is really the one thing everybody should do. It doesn't mean you shouldn't trade and try out other ones, absolutely, but you should always hold a portion too, because history has shown that is a very good strategy.
Good. Now, let me ask you a question. Like, what are some, different people you've already, because I know you've been telling a lot of people, your friends and family, what are some fears, what are some mental barriers that kind of keep some of them wanting to invest in Celsius, that it's kind of like an aha, like a epiphany, like, wow, I can't believe I'm so far into crypto that it's so easy for me to invest. But when I tell my neighbor, they don't even know how to open up a wallet. They don't even know what I mean by a hot wallet and cold wallet.
Yeah.
What are some things think that you noticed that's a shock to you?
I think you too as well. Your friends. I think we've talked about this here and there in our groups and stuff. The first hurdle is, crypto is a scam, right? Crypto's, Bitcoin's fake. It's not real money, right? Didn't it drop a lot? Isn't it? Is it really even here? What is it? I can't touch it, right? All those kind of, I think, are the first group of things that a lot of people say, right? So it's first getting them over that fact. I've really, as time has progressed, I've really tried to narrow it down to keep it simple. And I tell people, look, do you think we're going more digital? Yes or no? And pretty much, 100% of people say, well, yeah, I mean, yes. So I say, if you're going to invest, don't you want to invest in something that's at least within, that deals with everything digital, the digital future, whether it's digital money, digital assets, digital property, whatever, and so I think just that simple line alone gets people to start to say, oh, okay, like I'll listen more, right? And then once they kind of bring down that first wall of defense, then, they're like, well, what's this Bitcoin thing, or what is it, or does it move why do I hear bad things about it? Or why do criminals use it and all this stuff? And then you got to go with your own pitch there to kind of figure out how, depending on your audience, right? I think one of the terms, know your audience, is very key, because you may not tell you may not tell your brother, your best friend, your aunt, your coworker, whatever, all the same way, because they're all going to have different levels of the way they understand it. Even if they all are new to it, some are going to grasp it a little quicker, some are going to have some history with it, some are going to at least have heard about it, some will have never heard about it, all those things. So you got to kind of know your audience and how you're going to kind of pitch the general idea. But I try to start with that aspect first about the digital future and where we're going. Then I tell them, look, Bitcoin has been here 12 years. It's not going anywhere at this point. I can't guarantee that, of course, but let's be real. 12 years and it hasn't gone anywhere. It's not going anywhere, right? So, and if it started at 5 cents, and here we are sitting at 40,000 now, 42,000, whatever we are now today, and it's gone as high as 63,000 or whatever it's gone out to. What does it matter if it drops 50%, 80% or whatever? When if you zoom out, it's always gone up, no matter what. Like, yeah, it went down 18 months ago. It was $3,000 during the March 2020 crash, and here we are 18 months later, and it's pushing 40 G's. So when you zoom out and you really look at the chart, it really just is going up over time. It's like a long-term bull market in a grand scheme of things, right? Because again, where did it come from? It came from 5 cents. Last year it was $10,000, and here we are at $40,000. 5 years ago it was $700. Like, that's how you have to kind of let people know. Like, it takes, one of the sayings I like to say is, like, it's not timing the market, but it's time in the market, right? So basically, that kind of going back to that old holding aspect, right? Like, as long as you commit to it, good things will come. And another stat that I like to tell people too, that I learned recently, that said, anybody that's ever invested in Bitcoin and held for 4 years, which is not a long time when you think about investments in general. It's not, when you compare it to what most of us have grown up on with the word investments, like stocks and things like that. 4 years is not a long time. So anybody that has held Bitcoin for 4 years has not been in profit. So basically, that the stats and the numbers show, if you buy Bitcoin and hold for at least 4 years, you will have made some profit, right? At minimum, right? How much profit? Well, who knows? But you would at least be in profit. That tells you, like, holding on to an asset for 4 years tells you you won't lose your money at least, right? And then that starts to then draw their interest into, what other cryptos are there? Well, is there another Bitcoin? Are there other? And then you can start jumping into that world of what's next and those things. And then when they start kind of understanding that, then I jump into, like, hey, by the way, there's platforms that allow you to not only let your asset appreciate, but also pay you interest on it. What does your bank pay you on your dollars, right? I can tell you, let's turn your dollars into digital dollars, into a stable coin, and you can earn 8.8% on your dollar per dollar. You don't have to worry about the fluctuation of the market. You don't have to worry about it. If you believe in just dollars and you don't want to chance anything else, Well, how about turning those dollars into digital dollars, put them on Celsius, and earn 8.8% on USDC or USDT, as opposed to your 0.01 that you're earning in the bank right now, right? Because your money in the bank, guarantee you, will be worth less in the next year and the next year because of inflation, because of everything that's going on, because of the fiat in general. Historically, any fiat goes down in purchasing power as time goes, and the US dollar is not immune to that. And everybody knows how bad this year has been and how weak the dollar is. So at least if you're earning 8% on your dollar, it's a lot better than earning 0.01 in the bank, right? So that's another way to help people understand of the benefits of platforms like Celsius.
Okay, cool. So were you able to convince anyone to the point where they just call you up? They're like, Javier, you're right. I've been doing this for 6 months. Celsius all the way, baby. Or
Yeah, I mean and I'm glad you brought that up. So definitely, I try to tell people too, when I say tell them to try it out. I'm honest, right? I'm like, look, try to do the 400 minimum and just get the free Bitcoin money at least, right? Just hold it to 30 days, and in those 30 days, you're going to have 4 weeks of interest payment, right? So every Monday they'll get every Monday the interest that's compounded for whatever they're holding, they'll get paid on Monday. And then by the time that 4 weeks ends, then there comes their Bitcoin reward that they've earned for transferring the money. By that time, most people, at minimum, even if they don't put any more money in, they're already happy because they already can see. They're like, well, hell, I might as well just leave it in there because in the first week, I already made more money than I did in a whole month on the bank, right? In 2 weeks and 3 weeks, I already made more money than it's going to take me the whole year in the bank from just a small amount of money, right? Because of the fact that possibly the asset appreciated. But even if it didn't, even if it was just on stablecoin, just the fact that even at 8%, they're making 800 times more than they would at the bank holding their dollars, right? So once those 4 weeks go by, to date at least, I haven't heard anybody want to backtrack. I've had some people say like, okay, I'll just leave what I have in there and I'm going to keep letting it do it. But most end up saying, how do I put more? Where do I buy more? How can I keep adding, right? And those things. But I haven't heard anybody yet backtrack to say, oh, this sucks, I want out of it. Because they realize that like all they got to do is sit and hold and then basically be paid every Monday on doing nothing. It's a win-win scenario for the most part. So I haven't yet. And again, I try to keep it as real as possible, right? When I pitch the whole concept of it, I'm not promising anything, right? I'm just being honest and I'm telling people, look, I've done this with my own money. I've done this with my mother's money. I've done this with close friends and family. So, and I've used the competitors, right? So I'm not coming with just like, hey, try this thing out. I heard it's great, right? I'm coming with experience and my own money sitting in there, right? And my own mother's money. So I let people know that it's very close to me too. I'm not telling you this just to blow smoke up your ass, right? I'm telling you this from a real personal experience and with real meaning, and really just wanting people to try it out. That's it. Because once they try it out, they kind of just they figure it out and it's like, oh, this is pretty easy and I don't have to do much, and every Monday I know I'm gonna get paid, right? I have not yet not been paid on a Monday, right? So I'm up to I think 68 referrals so far in Celsius. So I'm trying. My goal is 100 by the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes.
Wow. So like on a personal level, like how do you allocate your funds with Celsius, and what would you tell a family man who's investing in Celsius how they should diversify a little bit to the bank, or should they put it all into Celsius?
Yeah. Again, not financial advice, right? But my opinion. I would say, so again, it's going to depend on the person, right? So let's say no coiner, I would tell them, look, make sure you invest obviously what you can afford. Go with the assumption that it's going to be zero, but go with confidence knowing that history is on your side to say, hey, you've got a very good chance. If you sit and hold, you should really like, but before all that, just try it out first, right? Try it out with 10% of your money. Try it out with 20% of your money, right? Whatever it is. And then that goes into people that have been in crypto or even traders or long-time crypto people. When I talk to them too, I say, look, how about like for traders, I try to tell them, look, how about you put 10% of your money in just stablecoin, right? Because you're using stablecoin for your trading and all that. So the stablecoin that's just sitting and doing nothing, why not earn 8% on it, right? If it's just going to sit and do nothing, I mean, you might as well get free stablecoin on top of it every week. And then, and then that helps me tell them a positive about Celsius. It says, look, when you withdraw, Celsius pays the withdrawal fees. So all your withdrawals out of Celsius are all free. So you don't even have to worry about saying, well, I don't want to put it in there and then take it out because I got to wait. You don't have to do that because you don't have to worry about that because they pay the withdrawal fees. So it's really, again, going back to know your audience and just letting them know, it's really their decision, and I can't recommend a certain amount, but I would say try a small percentage first. Then you decide, is this worth more putting more in? Is it worth the risk of trying, a little more or holding a little more? And then, so personally for me, I hold about 70% of my crypto on Celsius, and then the other 30% between, cold storage and hot wallets.
Okay. What do you say, how legit, what would you say, what are some concrete facts of what they have accomplished, not on what they plan to do, although that's pending on my next question. What are some exciting new news? So maybe you could kind of touch on one reason why I really do believe into the vision of this Celsius is because look what they've already accomplished, look what they plan on doing, and this is what I see in the future. So kind of touch stage 1, 2, and 3 on that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So as I said earlier, I mentioned community, and I mentioned a little bit about Alex, the CEO, on the way he goes about and where he's come from and what he's about, which is a very big key to me personally. And really, when it came down to really believing in Celsius, it came down to he was one factor for sure, because of his track record. And then the way he goes about business, the way he goes about things. So for 4 years now, or roughly 4 years, he does a weekly AMA on Fridays. And it basically just covers Celsius updates, news, this and that, fun times, whatever. But he's been doing it for 3.5 years or so straight, every Friday without missing a beat. And this is the CEO of a $1 billion company, right? Every Friday, right? On top of that, in the last few months now, there's anybody that uses Twitter, there's Twitter Spaces, which is basically like an audio conference call. And before that, they were using Clubhouse, which is another similar social audio conference call app. But anyways, on Tuesdays, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, they hold a Celsius kind of roundup of, hey, let's talk Celsius, any questions or whatever. And Alex joins the call every Tuesday night. I want to say maybe he's missed one so far that I've known. And he answers basic questions and very complex questions, right? Both. And he'll answer the same question 100 times. The same question maybe 100 times that some new person asked on an AMA 2 years ago. And this is Tuesday night, on an audio call from the CEO, again, of a $1 billion company. I would argue that there are others that maybe do that, but I have yet to find one that has done that. And if anybody else can, definitely please provide that in the video comments, because I would like to see that. Because even if there is, I'm sure it's very, very, very rare. So that's a big thing to me on a personal level. The other thing too is community. When you join Celsius and you really jump in the community is very, very dedicated. And the dedication, it's not the typical dedication of I love a project, right? Let's say Link, right? The Link Marines that are just Link's the best and all those things, right? Which is great. It's fun. The memes, the community, all that it's a great. But on the Celsius side, it's more the community is not just being connected with Celsius, but the mission that a lot of the community has. And what I mean by that is, for the most part, the community aspect of Celsius is about financial freedom. And this ties in a lot to me personally, and it ties kind of back into Brian, the group that we're in, our ICE group, our ICE family. A lot of the core of us have stayed together for this 15 months because we have a general vision of what we want from crypto, obviously on the financial side, but really what we want after that, right? What are we wanting the financial freedom from? It's not about, I want to be rich and all these things. Like, no, that's going to hopefully come and be fun. And, there's euphoric moments and crazy things we may want and all that. But at the end of the day, that's a very small portion of it. The main part is about what we're trying to do after, the purpose we're trying to do, whether it's to help our families, whether it's to start, an organization, whether it's to, start something new, whether it's to travel, whatever it is. There's a bigger purpose behind just, I want a lot of money. And so that's very key. That's big on what's kept me in the ICE family and a lot of us in the ICE, in our ICE group. And I found that with Celsius as well, especially from the community. So when you get that from the community aspect, and I've talked to people that have been with Celsius from the very beginning and where they are now, and then new people that jump in at the same time, and then the people that I've been able to impact and share Celsius with on top of that. And then again, all the things of the CEO, the way he's gone about it, the way he does it, the things he's doing, the way they're trying to basically layer Celsius as a whole into this whole crypto space. It's you start kind of putting, to me, again, this is on a personal level, you start piecing those things together and it becomes a very, very, very no-brainer. It just becomes almost ingrained, like, this is what crypto's about. Money for the people, by the people, right? And Celsius is staying true to that whole kind of general aspect of it. And this is why a lot of us are in it to begin with. Yes, the money and thing, but really a lot of people just want to live a better life, right? They just want to get out of what they're doing. And Brian and I talk about this all the time, right? We're time, right? That's what we want. We don't know how much of that we have, but whatever we have left, whether it's, the end of this call, tomorrow, a week, a month, 10 years, that's what we want to enjoy, because at the end, even if it is another 50 years, it's still a very short time in general. And that's what we're trying to get. And then to use that time to, again, go back to do the things that we want to do and experience life and the things life has and all those things. So that whole aspect of Celsius and that whole mission that the community pushes, the company pushes, and the CEO pushes, it's again, to me, it's just a no-brainer. So,
are there like any fears about Celsius? Like, even though you're 100% positive, if you could say, well, if there's any doubts, which I don't have any doubts, but just to answer your question, Brian, here are some fears that I would say.
Yeah, I mean, so just the fact that we're in investments, or you're in an investment, that's already the first risk, right? You're investing into something that we don't know what the future holds, right? I mean, we know where maybe the future is going, but we don't know what the future holds on what cryptos will survive, what will digital assets be in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, right? We know we know something of where it's going, but we don't know for sure how it's going to go about, right? What laws are going to change, what adjustments, how is it going to impact you? None of that, right? So for that, those, I mean, I wouldn't call them doubts, but those would be that risk level where you have to determine how much of that are you going to, allow to make your decision. So when it comes to Celsius, again, this ties back to how they started, right? They chose to say, look, we're going to do all the boring paperwork first. We're going to get our licenses first. We're not going to follow BlockFi. We're not going to follow Crypto.com. We're not going to follow Nexo, what they're doing. We're not going to waste our money on advertisement and forget about all of the legal jargon first. We're going to take care of all that compliance bullshit first, because we know later on, if all this pans out, we'll at least have all that taken care of. And that's kind of where we're sitting at now. Celsius now slowly has become basically the leader, because all the other competitors are now dealing with all these new regulations. BlockFi, for example, who had the biggest advertising campaign when it came up to it, they had paid all the YouTube influencers to pitch them and all those things. They're now up to have 4 or 5 states now that are on the regulation side here in the United States, giving them cease and desist orders because of certain wording in their terms of agreement and all these things. So now they're having to work through the paperwork and all that stuff. And I look at Celsius, I'm like, wow, Celsius took care of this years ago, right? And when you start seeing things like that, that doubt gets less and less, at least, right? Now, again, there's always going to be some doubt because, again, you don't know what it's going to be. They could all, the government can come in and whatever. I don't think they can personally, but, make it harder. So those can, the delay can also be a doubt, like how long will things take to happen? But when I look back and at least say, look, I have a company, or I believe in a company that's trying to do it the right way, and all the things they've done before to get here and where they are now and the things that are coming in the future, it puts less and less doubt, at least, onto that, like you said, on doubt, on worrying about it. Now, I wouldn't say I worry about Celsius directly. I would just say if I had doubts, it would just be in the crypto space in general, just because we don't know what's coming. That would be the only doubt I have. So when somebody brings up that question, kind of like you did, I tell them, I say, look, I can't guarantee you anything. I can show you history and say there's a good likelihood this continues, but of course I can't guarantee you anything. But I can at least tell you, would you want to take a chance on this with all this positive, with all these outlooks that at least have a good chance, right? Because of who's buying crypto, where has it come from, how much has it grown since, what's going on now, how much available it is, all these positive things about it. Or would you like to stay where you are? Right? If those are the options, to basically stay where you are, doing the same thing you've always been doing, providing the same results that you've ever gotten, or really stuck in whether it's the U.S. dollar or the fiat that is for your country, or taking a chance on something that maybe has a possibility, and if the worst case scenario is you managing your risk level to a level of your personal that you can handle, and it doesn't pan out, and you end up right where you started anyways, what did you really lose, right? But if you don't take that chance and you do nothing, then you're guaranteed losing, because most of us in the space can tell you on the fiat side of things, it's not going to get any better. I don't care if you're in the States, I don't care if you're in Iceland, whatever the fiat system you're in, we can pretty much see that that's not getting any better, right? So that would be where I would say the if you want to use, again, the word doubt. So I hope that answered your question.
Okay, yeah, this is my last question, because we want to try to get it underneath an hour. We're at 43 minutes. Not bad. You're doing a good job. Like, you know how to flow in these interviews. But anyway,
I appreciate it, man.
So for someone that's investing into the Celsius token, do you have any plans or any advice as far as how to sell it? Is there an exit strategy at the end's born, or you're just gonna hodl to the next 5 years? What's your plan? What would you advise other people?
Okay. Again, just to make sure I cover right, not financial advice, but my financial opinion. Yes, Celsius, the Cell token, would definitely be one that I have on my radar to hodl long term. Now, does that mean I'm going to sell none of it? I can't tell you for sure. I mean, if it shoots up to some wild amount, I possibly will consider selling a portion, knowing that I'm earning 4.8%, 4.86% APY on it. But at least in my current plan, it is definitely a long-term one. Again, because I believe where the company is going as a whole, and the Cell token being that it's going to benefit a lot from that. It's worth considering, at least in your long-term bucket, in my opinion, to at least make your decision based on those type of things. But again, yeah, if you want to sell it, if you're outside the U.S., you can sell it on any of the exchanges that it's on. So FTX, I know, is one of the most popular ones now. Like I said, Bittrex Global, Bitfinex, and a few others. As far as on the international side, and again, Uniswap, if you wanted to swap it, on the decentralized side. And then again, for the US, same thing. So the US, though, is going to be able to have a little access to it soon. So toward the end of, if I have the dates correct, I want to say toward the end of August, this month, accredited investors. So in the US, that means you have to have $1 million in liquid assets. So even having $1 million in crypto does count. But you have to have basically $1 million net worth to become an accredited investor, or earn $200,000, I think, for at least 2 or 3 years. I think your annual salary. So don't quote me on those exact terms, but something along those lines allows you to become an accredited investor. And here in the United States, anybody outside the United States, this may not make any sense, but for anybody that's listening in the U.S., those are what's going to give you accreditation. And when you are accredited, Celsius eventually, coming this month, is going to allow the option because the state laws will, the country laws will allow it, where they can offer cell token to those U.S. customers, but if they're accredited. So that'll be a way that some U.S. people will be able to have access to it, at least in the short term. And then you can sell it again by swapping it on Uniswap. Tying into Uniswap and features that are coming from Celsius. Celsius is coming with a in-app swap, basically a swap function within the app, connected all in-house. I think it's connected through Uniswap, but it's going to be in-house. Where you can swap any coin for any coin for any token, all within the app. So basically, whatever they offer, right? Bitcoin for a stable coin, XRP for cell token, whatever, that is coming soon. The first version of it will only be some of the basics, so like Bitcoin probably for stablecoin. They haven't provided the details yet, but they did state that it will be very limited at first. But as it progresses and expands by the end of, hopefully the year or beginning of next year, it'll be a full in-app version where you can. The goal is to allow you to swap anything for anything, all within the app. And the key thing about that, zero spread and zero fees. And anybody that trades or swaps understands how big that could be. So Celsius wants to basically say, you put your money in here, we'll pay you interest by holding it. And by the way, if you need to trade or swap, just do it in-house. You don't have to worry about fees. And then let's say you go from Bitcoin to stablecoin. As soon as you swap, your stablecoin now is earning, the 8.8% interest or whatever that interest happens to be for stablecoin. And without you having to withdraw from the app, transfer it back in, send it from somewhere else, all those things. So.
Well, I think this is good. We definitely need to have another interview. Looks like time is up. But thanks a lot, Javier. If there's anything you want to say, any final words, please share.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Again, thank you for allowing me to be on here and to share the knowledge, the info that I've learned over this time period. And I would definitely like to follow up because I would love to talk about Celsius loans too. It's a whole another aspect of the ability of being able to borrow off your crypto. We would go way over the hour if I talk now, so I won't. So a follow up I would definitely appreciate whenever you want. But yeah, really the only last thing I'd like to say is follow me on Twitter at jsettle20. You can either look for it on that name or under South Texas Celsian. And also on my YouTube channel, which on Twitter is going to be cel_talk. So CEL_talk, TALK. I'll give Brian all the info for him to provide in the description as well of the video. I'm doing the YouTube channel with another Celsius community ambassador. He's in Romania and I'm here in the States, so we kind of got two time zones covered. And our channel is going to be very kind of Celsius centric on the basic side. We're really going to just try to push how to use Celsius, what it's about, what the cell token is, the loan features, kind of things like that first. Eventually, we hope to later maybe on there talk about maybe bring on people within the Celsius community and in crypto space and all that. But for the most part, it's really going to be a kind of Celsius 101. And that's going to be just kind of the way we feel that we can impact the community on the Celsius side of how we can help, especially since we're ambassadors, community ambassadors for Celsius. So I'd appreciate a subscribe there as well. I think that's it. Yep. Again, if you have any interest, my DMs are open both on my personal Twitter account or the Cell Talk Twitter account. Use a referral link that Brian will provide to sign up for the app and try it out. And I can do phone calls, Zooms, or anything if you want to talk Celsius basics in general, or if you're a Celsian already and you have questions, I'd be more than happy to sit and chat and help you understand it more, or provide help on any issues you may have, support tickets, things like that. And then follow all the if anybody that uses Twitter too, if they want to jump in calls, there's Twitter Spaces calls all through the week. And like I said, on Tuesday nights on the 8 p.m. Eastern side of the time of the United States, you can basically jump on a phone call with the CEO and ask him any question directly. So
all right.
That's about all I have, Brent.
All right. Thank you so much. Click on the link below to join our Telegram to get the latest tips and updates. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks a lot, y'all.